me and Rachel's sister, the one that got up from the bench and, was like, oh, I can't sit. And this is, I'm just assuming because I know her. So when we came home from jail, uh, she rented us. She does real estate. She's a realtor. She rented us her house. That was the first house we moved into, right? And when I first came home, the house, it wasn't ready to be lived in. The people that lived there prior didn't really take care of it. So I went in there and did a bunch of work to it, pulled all the carpets out, redid all the flooring in it, fixed little stuff that needed to be fixed. And then we ended up moving in and we made that was our first home together, right? And it was far from perfect. It was far from perfect. There was, stuff that was going wrong with it all the time, but it didn't matter, right? Because prior to that, we had been sleeping on a floor. So this was our first home. So little by little, we start getting on our feet, right? And we were on her phone plan at first, and then we got on our own phone plan, and just little things like that we started doing. And then right before we moved out, there were times where, stuff would go wrong in the house, and we would, maybe send her sister a message and be like, look, this and that and this and that. And, we wouldn't really get a resolution to it. Yeah, we wouldn't get a resolution to it, which her sister's busy. I get that. But also, if there's an issue in the house and my children have to live in it, and I'm paying you what you ask as a landlord, I expect, stuff to be taken care of. That's why I'm paying you. Um, and I don't need to be honest with you. I think she was just asking us to pay whatever, the bank note was. I don't think there was anything extra, anything like that. Uh, but then we ended up deciding to move into the house that we have now, right? The house that we purchased. And Rachel said, when we found that house, she said, my sister's not going to like this. And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, my sister, I love her. She's awesome. She's good people. But one thing about her is she likes to feel that people need her. She likes to be like in control. And I think we all do to a certain degree, right? She said, and she has done that with other people in the family. So we end up telling her, look, we're about to move out. Just giving you a heads up. I had went and bought all new appliances for the house. And I told her, look, I'll leave them there because the house we're moving into has new appliances. I said, just pay me what I paid for them. I don't want anything extra, nothing. You can, just pay me whenever you can. I'm not in a rush for it. You've always been good to us. So, uh, it's my pleasure to extend that. But then came an issue. There was a swing on the porch, a porch swing that Rachel wanted to swing on that porch so bad. She loves to swing. So she wanted that swing so bad, right? So she ends up getting her swing. And after we move, her sister messages me and said, hey, did you take the swing? And I said, well, yeah, why? And I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was like, oh, I guess, and I was like, well, why wouldn't I take it? That's Rachel's swing. That's our swing. That's, that you didn't buy it. It doesn't belong to the house. I said, you didn't buy it. But that swing became such an issue where one day I was working in the barber shop, and it was a Saturday afternoon, and me, Rachel, and her sister were in a group message, and she ends up messaging me, like trying to fight with me and saying, look, uh, you know, you're such a fraud, you're a fake. I can't wait for you to go back to jail. You know, people are gonna see you put off this image like you want people good for people, but I know deep down inside that's not who you are and that's not what you are. And me, I'm working. You know, two things I don't want. I don't want to argue with anybody, let alone my sister's older sister, probably the sister that she's closest, well, you know, sister she's very close to. I don't want that, right? And second of all, is you've done so much to help us. I don't understand why, you know, if you want the best for us and your nieces and nephews, the best for us was moving into our own home that we can purchase, a good home for our children, right? And not saying that the other home was this horrible home. It wasn't, you know, it just wasn't up to par, you know, if we're being honest. So she keeps on messaging me this, right? And I just tell her, please stop. Please stop. You know, I said, please stop, Amy. Amy, come on, stop. Because I know I'm going to ask you to stop a handful of times. And then if you don't listen, I'm going to become very, very disrespectful, right? Because I'm like, damn, well, I asked you to stop, you know, and I asked her to stop a bunch of times. And she didn't want to stop. And she just kept on. It was one thing after another, and nothing she was saying really had any merit. It was all opinions. You know, she wasn't saying, oh, you did this or you did that. She said, I feel this, I think this, you know. So she ends up keep on. I said, look, if you keep on bothering me after I've asked you to stop a handful of times, you're a woman. I said, I'm not going to argue with a woman. I said, but I will. Her son is a grown man. I said, I will go have a talk with your son about it. Then she said a couple more things and ended up stopping. So I was like, all right, cool. All right. So then she goes and, you know, tells everybody, I guess, her version of what happened, leaving out everything that she said, of course. And Rachel never, so Rachel and I was very hurt because I said, damn, you didn't stand up for me at all. She was saying all this shit to me, saying I'm a failure. I'm just a convict. I can't wait till you go back to jail. I said, damn, you didn't stand up for me at all. You didn't say nothing. You were saying, Frank, stop. Frank, stop. Frank, don't respond. You know, that's what you were saying after I finally responded, but you didn't say, yo, Amy, stop what you're doing. Stop it. This is my husband. You didn't say none of that. Right? And then when I responded, so then Rachel, and I just found this out, you know, maybe about a month ago, Rachel tells me, listen, I was at work and I didn't read any of the message. All I did was hit, like, ignore when they came through or delete. Because I asked her, I said, damn, why would you allow her to do that, right? And she said, Rachel ended up telling me, look, I had no idea that's what happened. And I thought she was reading the messages. She said she wasn't. She's like, every time the messages came through, I just hit, like, ignore them. And she's like, I didn't want to deal with it. It's my husband and my sister arguing. And when she said that, I was like, okay, I can see what she's saying, right? But even after I told her that, and she said, you know, she actually apologized. And that's, I'm telling you, one of probably 5 or 4 times that she's able to apologize, Rachel, in our relationship. She actually apologized and said, damn, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. And I told her, I said, you could go back in the messages and look. You know, I said, they're all there. I didn't, you know, I asked her probably 5 to 8 times to please stop before I said anything, before I replied, right? So that was her start of her sister's issue with me. And then it, you know, just kept on going. And then other things happened. you know. But yeah, I figured I'd explain that just to give you a little bit of context. And then I'll explain other things, you know, so y'all understand. Because I don't want to portray like I was this perfect person. Uh, and everybody hates me, you know, and everybody dislikes me. And some people got a reason to be upset with me, right? The one thing I know, though, is that anytime that I've ever said anything, because I've never physically done anything, anytime that I've ever said anything, there was a whole bunch of times that I didn't, and a whole bunch of me trying to say, yo, all right, relax, kick back, you know, because I know me, right? So there was always me trying to defuse the situation or resolve the situation before it got to the point where I just couldn't deal with it. And I was going to deal with it however I see fit. So, I'm about to pull up to the hospital. Not looking forward to this whatsoever. But this is life, right? This is life. This too shall pass. If you're watching, miss you. I love you. Hope your day's going well. Hope this is easier on you. Hope you have a great week, great Thanksgiving. Thank you guys for watching. Again.